Ooh, Serizawa, 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 look at you. Hi everyone, I'm going to react to Mob Psycho 100 Season 3 Episode 2. Yokai Hunter Amakusa Haruaki appears, the threat of 100 demons. Kelly. I feel like I haven't read a long title in such a long time. But okay, last episode, Mob was trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his school and everything. And Hekubo was, well, Mob asked Hekubo what he wanted to do, and then he's like, okay, it's about time for something. And then he went to the divine tree, and I'm like, okay, what is he trying to do? But yeah, so that's basically what happened last episode. And before we get into this one, if you guys have my reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and please consider supporting my Patreon at patreon.com/Philomini. And now let's start this episode, and here we go. What did you do, Hekubo? What did Hekubo do? After the episode ended, I went back and looked at like the intro for this episode and for the previous episode, because usually when they start the intro, they're like, okay, there are, phenomena in the world that can't be explained by science or something or other, and there are people that fight those phenomena or whatever, and they are called psychics. Okay, and then this episode they basically started that with the same thing, but then they were like, they are called yokai hunters. And what actually pushed me to want to look at the beginning of this episode was after they defeated the great yokai king or whatever, demon king, either way, after they defeated it, and then its head was on the floor, and Reagan took out his cell phone and wanted to take a picture, but the thing wasn't showing up on the screen. And then he's like, huh. And then I started thinking, okay, have we ever seen Reagan trying to take a picture of all the evil, what are they called? Like all those spirits that they've been trying to exorcise. Have we ever seen him take a picture of them? I don't know. I don't think, I'm trying to remember. So I'm like, okay, are the yokais, are they different from the evil spirits that they've been exercising since the beginning? Because when they got there and Serizawa and Mob started defeating them, and then Serizawa is like, oh, so it's basically like a normal exorcism. So are yokais and the evil spirits, are they like the same thing? And that's why it was so easy for them to dispatch of the yokais, And if that's the case, why would Reagan want to take a picture of it? I don't know. So that's why I went back to the beginning and just trying to see if the intro was basically the same thing. They just replaced psychics with yokai hunters. And by that, they're telling us that the yokai and the evil spirits that they've been dealing with so far are just basically the same thing. So that's why I checked out the previous intro as well. And the only difference that I could see was the people that were dealing with these creatures. In the first episode, you saw all the psychics, some of the psychics that we've seen so far. And then in this episode, you see other people, including Amakusa Haruaki, whatever. He was also in there. The difference between the two intros was just the people that were dealing with the yokai or the evil spirits or whatever. But the words were basically the same thing, and then they replaced psychics with yokai, or yokai hunters. So I'm like, okay, to me, it seems like they're the same thing, unless I'm mistaken. But okay. So this episode was this dude just riding into seasoning city because he wanted to deal with this 100 horde, you 100 horde something. This 100 yokai demons, spirits, whatever, man. And they were trying to resurrect the great king, and he needed to deal with them. And he was practicing how to introduce himself to Reagan. And then he got there, and he was just messing everything up. And Reagan was not getting what he was saying, so he's like, "Okay, can you like just like wait outside because I have a client coming in." Excuse me. So when he was there, Reagan looked out the window and he saw like a police officer was talking to him, and in his mind the police officer was going to arrest him and take him away, but no. The guy was still waiting like after 3 hours, and then he came in. Then he still started speaking with these catchphrases and stuff, and Reagan just had enough of it. He just lost it on him, and then the guy just went back to speaking basically normally, but it felt sing-songy to me, like he was singing as well as he was speaking. That's how it felt to me. And then he explained why he was there. Reagan is like, "We don't have time for this," until the guy just like straight up dropped 1,000,000 yen onto the table. At first Reagan was like, "Okay, who are you trying to kid?" He thought maybe, how some people are trying to con. When they're trying to con you, they will be having like real money like on top and at the bottom maybe or something, and then the inside will be just like regular paper. And Reagan just was like, "Whoop." So it's real money, and he immediately accepted this guy as a client. And meanwhile, Mob had this. They were gonna have this cultural fair at the school, and they were put in charge of making costumes, right? Ghost costumes. And the other 3 people on his team, basically, they didn't want to do work, so they're like, "Okay, let's just put a white sheet over ourselves and just be like scaring people." And Mob did not want to do that. And so during this whole episode, he was trying to think of what to create and stuff. So when he went to the office, and then Serizawa wanted to go back to school as well. And I love how, yes, Reagan relies on these two to exercise spirits and stuff, but he also pushes them to better themselves. So when Serizawa came to him and asked for some time off after 4 p.m. because it's going to be night classes and everything, and Reagan was like, he's trying to better he told him to go and stuff like that. So that was cool. So Mob came in, and I think he came to ask for Reagan's help in trying to figure out what to create, right? But then Reagan is like, "Okay, just wait a second, we have this thing to deal with, and after that we can talk." So they went on this journey trying to find out where the yokai were, and they finally got there, and there was this sticky thing on the wall. Reagan like screamed out loud, and Mob was like, "Okay, maybe we can use this sticky thing to do something." Like he kept trying to think about how to make their costume as they were trying to deal with this yokai situation. So they basically came. All the yokais were there. Amakusa just like took out this sword, and he started seeing some kind of debris stuff, and then he called those sword what it was, and it was the holy sword or something, and the thing just broke in like a second. So he came to Serizawa and Mob to deal with all the yokais, and then they dealt with them like pretty easily. And Amakusa was so impressed. He wanted to basically sort of like hire them to, I guess, accompany, help him defeat yokais and stuff. And they were like, "No, I have school." And that's his. It's like, "I'm going back to school," and then Moby's like, my head is all full with this cultural stuff, so I don't have time for this." And Reagan, when the guy was like, I will pay you monthly, he was like, ooh, guys, he wants to, and then that's when they said that, they don't have time for this. And then Reagan turns around and he's like, you try to basically buy them, with money. Not everything is about money, basically. And then this guy, of course, Reagan, is just, he's like, Master Reagan, thank you so much for basically showing me the error of my ways. And basically the guy was gonna put his money away, not offer any money at all. And then Reagan is like, but I can still take a consultation fee. He was in the middle of saying that he's turned around and saw Mob and says, what? He basically shut up. I'm like, oh my gosh, Reagan. So yeah, they defeated the Yokai. And Mob had the idea about what to make with the costume and everything, and then he brought it to the other three and they made it. And the commentator said, the narrator said that people they were just like meh with it, but they didn't hate it either or something or other like that, so they didn't complain about it. So I guess it was a good thing. And Reagan, in the meantime, was also trying to spruce up his webpage because there was not a lot of circulation. And after Mob and his friends made up the Yokai, the Great Yokai King costume, whatever, and they displayed it, he went there and took a picture of it and used it for his webpage. And yeah, and then in somewhere in the episode they mentioned, I think Reagan is the one that mentioned that he hasn't seen Dimple in a long time. And I'm like, yeah, where is Dimple? And then after this song, the outro ended, they showed the Great Divine Tree, and then they showed its roots basically sort of, I don't know, coming out of the ground or something. And I'm like, okay, is Dimple trying to take over the Great Tree? You know how there are a whole lot of people that are like a whole religion that's basically venerating this broccoli. So what he previously, when we met Dimple, he created this religion and the laugh out loud LOL religion and whatnot, and then Mob defeated him. He's basically trying to do the same thing here, but on a grander scale. Because I feel like the LOL was just like a small. There weren't a whole lot of people, but there's a whole lot of people venerating the Great Tree. So, what? I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to do, but I guess we'll see. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like this reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe. And if you want to see my reaction to episode 3, you can do so by checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/followmini, and you can also see the full length of this reaction there as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.